March 11th, 2026. This is episode 9 of 2026 of Conversations with Tony Mobley. This conversation uses the TV broadcast software Mima Live, which is also supported with Zoom. Conversation with Tony Mobley is produced by Clarlock Lopez Waterman. Our current team includes Laura Thompson, Zachary Sorensen, Mickey McAture. We want to say thank you, sir, and thank you, team. Additional support comes from JJ McKenna and Tamara Pinka. ConversationWithTonyMobley.com is our website. You can view our conversations on YouTube as well as our website. We also have an interactive chat. It's called Mukana. There should be a QR code that's showing, and that is courtesy of Alex Lindsay and 090. For this question system, you have the opportunity to ask questions, and your questions can be voted up or down. You can watch here on YouTube or on our website, again, conversationwithTonyMobley.com. We started this year with theater professional and college professor Jessica Lopez Barkle. Then we had Ken Jordan and the importance of quality when using AI. Roz McNulty, a digital magician and fashion meets the future, is an Apple Vision Pro evangelist. We have also had two of the trio of that makes up the Last Angry DJ show, Mitchell Hill and Mark Giuliani. They celebrated 100 shows. We've had Gary B. Jr., the free show evangelist, for part 2, where he talked again about the advantages of why you might want to use the free app Free Show. We've had AJ, the CEO, the e-missionary. And on our last conversation, which took place on February 25th, we had an educational panel. Ms. Chantel Jackson, Rabbi David Paskin, and Miss Carissa Worthy. And they shared in a conversation on education. Today, we have Mr. Ricardo Hicks, the CEO and president of the Tech Factory. We are happy to have him. It has been 4 years since Mr. Hicks has been a part of Conversations with Tony Mobley. So we are going to briefly ask him again. We have started not to ask this question of who you are to repeated guests, but we're going to do it today since it's been 4 years. So we're going to say hello again to Ricardo Hicks. And who is Mr. Ricardo Hicks? Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Tony. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I'm Ricardo Hicks. I'm the founder, CEO of Tech Factory, which is an audiovisual production company that does live events, virtual events, hybrid events. At my core, I am a visionary, a trainer, a developer of talent, mentor to many. I'm passionate about, the work that I do. I've been in the field of audiovisual for about since 1999, 27 years now, right? And anytime I get into something, I'm always looking at how I can help someone else get into it, help someone else learn a particular craft. That's been a passion of mine for a long time, even back when I was laying brick for my father. When in my teen years, I always looked at it, the opportunity of being a craftsman, and something I'm very passionate about is, owning your skill and your craft. So that's, I'm a husband, I'm a father, 4 children, and, that sums it up.
Okay. And I'm just curious, are you still a church musician as well?
So church sound tech, close. So church audio tech. I am not currently. About 3 years ago, business it became a little overwhelming to where I had to take a step back from that position. It was actually a role I was serving in a church for about 13 years. I've been in church audio for probably about 18 years total. And I'm kind of easing back into it as I have some proteges that we actually visited a church this past weekend. I got a phone call from a friend that asked, the church had a need, so we went down there and checked it out, and they enjoyed the church. I have twins. They're 21 years old. One's audio and one's video. I've been training them for the last year and a half, and these guys are phenomenal. And so we went and visited the church, and we're in negotiations for getting them set up there. So I'm kind of the answer is no, but kind of easing back into it.
Okay, so I want to appeal to our audience tonight and just say, listen, guys, this gentleman has 27 years in AV. You need to ask your questions. We are only here for an hour, so you better get the questions in. We're cutting off after an hour. All right, the next question is, how has your family supported you on your journey in becoming the businessman that you are?
I'll start with my wife. My wife, Lakina Hicks, has been a great support system for me through the years in working in sales roles, lead tech roles for other companies prior to starting my own production company 8 years ago. And now she works full time as my managing director. So I waited until we had 5 of us full time there to bring her on. Share careers in project management at AT&T, where she, in very high level important projects, she was responsible for them because, a lot of times people didn't want to touch it. If you're talking about taking down cell towers for E911, and you can't make mistakes when you project managing and taking these towers down and bumping up another cell tower that's maybe a mile down the road. High stakes are involved, and you can't make mistakes, and you have to dot your I's and cross your T's. She did that for the last 5 years of her career, literally working for E911. So when I brought her on, it lightened up a load. But the point is, she is the biggest source of encouragement. She is by far my greatest asset on the team, as she allows me to be the visionary that I am, the trainer, the developer, the sales, the mentee, and all of those things. I can't do these things without having someone that's keeping us on processes and holding people accountable to processes. And she allows me to do that, and that allows the business to flourish in doing that. So the answer is, my wife has been a superstar. And, I'll make sure that I clip this so she can hear this. But I talk to my team about this all the time. They know it. They know it, and they respect it.
That's fantastic. So, I want to say to the churches that are out there, this is a great opportunity for you as well, not just the AV businesses, but houses of worship. If you have some AV needs or questions, and this is a great opportunity to ask those questions. Please tell us about how you got started in AV. How did you get started? What was the first job?
So I got started in it. So I went to North Carolina A&T and I majored in music. I quickly realized, and it's funny because I actually touched my first saxophone in almost 20 years today. I went and tested a horn. I'm going to buy another instrument just to start playing again. But about 1 year in, I realized that I didn't have the commitment to the practice room. We talk about craftsmen, right? I had a decent tone. I could, I can read music, but I didn't have the dedication to the practice room that I needed to get where, hey, yeah, I feel like I can support my family with this gift. My saxophone professor, Dr. William Smiley, was also in electronic music. So I took electronic music as an elective, which is music production, working with keyboards, synthesizers, sound, and fell in love with it. So that was the replacement for the practice room. So I immediately changed my degree concentration to a concentration in electronic music with a music degree. From there, I had to intern. Did 2 years in that program. My last 2 years in that program, had to intern at a recording studio. That recording studio that I interned at, I ended up working there for a couple of years after I graduated. Got some album credits in the gospel world, and Worked on some R&B and hip hop projects, and really cut my teeth in studio audio. And then a couple years after that, it was, that was the age of when workstations, little handheld workstations, or small workstations like VS 1880s were coming in, and they were taking the place of studio recording time pretty rapidly. And computers came a little bit later with that, but I saw the need for me to shift from recording to let's find something that's a little more stable for me if I want to live in North Carolina. Moved to Atlanta, coincidentally, LA and then Atlanta, and found corporate AV accidentally rolling through my uncle's Rolodex and saw something that said PS AV and it had audio visual in it. And I picked up the phone. They said, "Do you have a suit? Do you have a car?" I said, "I have both." I showed up. That was a Thursday conversation. On a Monday, I showed up with a suit and car, and I learned about this whole side of corporate audio visual. I knew live sound from church, so I started live sound and audio recording around the same time. And that the rest is history. So I started there. I started as a technician, worked in the management, ended up in lead techs for a while, moved from management to being a lead tech, eventually getting into sales and so on and so forth. I don't want to talk too far ahead of you, so.
Well, you're not, but what I do want to say is that just based on what you just said, I want to appeal to any young person. If you are 12 and up and you have an interest in anything that's audio video, um, connect with your church, local house of worship. See if they have something going on that you can participate in and learn these skills. And real quickly, I'll just share with you guys. The high school that I went to, I had the opportunity to work in one semester. We did nothing but photography. And I had the opportunity to work in the dark room that was built at the school. And because of that, I actually learned how to develop film, which in turn helped me learn how to process plates that you use for printing presses. And what that led to was me getting a job working for city government, running a printing department. And actually, I've been a part of two different city printing departments. I actually ran the Atlanta printing department for 5 years at City Hall. And I did that through, they did a shift for Xerox took over all their printing work, and I was the head person at the city of Atlanta and ran all of their printing for 4 years.
Wow.
And it was because I learned how to develop film as a 15-year-old that led to all of that. Not only that, I got to work at the printing department at Morehouse College while I was a student. And that was part of my conversation when I talked to Dean of the Chapel, Lawrence E. Carter, PhD, that I wanted to come to Morehouse as an older student and I could run a printing press. If you had a printing press at the school, I could run it. So again, this is all to say, if you are interested in audio, video, take an opportunity and intern at a church or a school or some place where you can actually get a skill that sometimes is outside of what you would normally get in a school education program. And so I just wanted to lean into that because of what you just said about your experience and the things that you did working with the church, working with live recordings, and how that helped you lean into the other aspects of it. So that's very cool. And
Yeah, absolutely.
again, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Just to say that your churches are great great resources for, and when it comes to audio, video, starting points, right? Um, it's high stakes. It's fast paced. You have to learn that customer service. Customer service applies to church as well. So if it's a field that you're really interested in, you can really build your muscle in a church. But do some study on the side, or find somebody. Find you don't these days you don't even have to have a physical mentor. You can watch people from YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all of these places to sharpen your skills. But you have to read and study on the side of volunteering in the church to really be taken seriously in developing your craft to get in position to work, right? You don't just want to say, "Hey, I'll do this at church every Sunday," and you don't know, like I said, like to say the nomenclature, the terms that belong to this craft specifically. If you're an audio professional, you want to learn the language. You're a video professional, you want to learn the language. Streaming, likewise, want to learn the language. So study, and that's biblical too.
All right now. All right now. uh, um, I really, I'm going to go ahead and go to the next question, but I really want to ask you. I'm going to take the host role right now and just ask you this question.
Okay.
I know for a fact that you are a person who is uh, extremely intensive as far as the quality of work that you do. Can you talk about that and why that's important?
Um, it's important because, what I was taught early, your name means everything, right? My dad taught me that early. My family exudes that, right, on both sides for the most part. And that's led in, that's been part of my foundation, right? And being the Christian that I am, I want to do good work, and I want to be able to stand by the things that I do. I want to work with integrity, right? I'm a very passionate guy, very much a visionary, but being passionate and visionary and void of integrity and work ethic is very is going to lead. It's going to be unfulfilling, right? Because people look at me as like, oh, you own a company, you do volumes of work, and you have several employees. It's when you come from a place that I come from, of really wanting to own what you do through and through. It means a lot to me. I wear it on my sleeve, and I want to not only do that work, do it well, but I want to take a team of people with me that own it the way that I do as well. And it takes, and I can speak from experience, it takes years to get that buy-in from a culture standpoint. Because it's one thing to build the skill and the craftsman. And I'm 25, 26 deep as far as bringing people into this industry to work in it full time. But ask me if all of them work for me today.
Right.
There are various reasons why they don't. Some needed, a different situation. Some moved from doing staging to hotel AV. It works a little bit more organized with their schedule and whatnot. Some people don't work with me because the integrity is not high. Some people don't work with me. It's several different reasons, but it all plays into, back to your original question of, I want to do this at a high level. I want to do it with integrity. I want to do it my way. And I want to leave a legacy of people behind me that do it that way, right? And when I'm done, I'll probably be 60 people deep that I brought into the industry. But I want 10% of that 60 to actually know that I actually have some people that really bought into the mission and vision and the heart of what I set out to do, and not just wanted to make money, right? That's not going to be everybody. Some people just want a job, and that's okay, right? But I'm just hopeful that I find some people that will be able to take it and run with it and say, man, I want to leave a trail of people that I've impacted and that I've helped. And yeah, that's. I hope I answered your question properly.
Yes, you did. And that brings us to this next question. Please give us an overall view of the tech factory.
So yes, so Tech Factory again, we do audio visual lighting for corporate events. I like to say some think of what you would see at a rock concert, hip hop show, R&B show, but boring. A teachers conference, a doctors conference, attorneys, fraternal organizations. It's not boring to me. It's all exciting to me because it's just what I do as a crowd. But to the populace, it's not as exciting as maybe a concert would be. So those elements include, projectors. Big screens, anything you would see in a mega church. We go and set that up for 100 attendees to upwards to 8,000 attendees, and we own all of our own equipment. We truck our equipment all over the country. We were just in Long Beach last week for a 3,000 attendee event. This summer, we're doing a series of 7 events the smallest would be 1,000 and the largest with this customer would be 8,000. And we're doing 7 of these, and we'll send one 18-wheeler or a couple to these cities, depending on the size. So a lot of speakers, a lot of LED wall elements, projection, lighting, and streaming. Right.
Wow.
So that's what we do, and I'm doing a little bit better job of telling that story because my head has been down doing the work for the last 7 years, just building this team. And if you follow us on shameless plug, if you should follow us on our social media platforms at Tech Factory Pro on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. We're actually posting 3 or 4 times a week, and of course our website you can find us. But we're very, very active because I have the time now. 3 or 4 times a week posting what we do. Some funny stuff that we do. We do sitcom parodies. We have a parody of Jeopardy that we call Joppity, where we do audiovisual questions and answers, and we have fun with it. So yeah, that's what we are at Tech Factory. And if you follow us on our social pages specifically, you will see the camaraderie. Right? It's not contrived. It's not something that it's like, hey guys, let's look like we're having fun. Well, we have fun. We actually enjoy each other. This team that I've curated together with my wife Lakina has helped me build this team and nurture this team. We enjoy each other every day that we come to work. And I could not say that when I talked to you 4 years ago to the level that I can say it today. And that's very rewarding for us.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and take a blast from the past, and we're gonna go back 4 years. So we are 4 years ago, and let's see if I can share this. All right. Let me turn the sound
Step
on.
out on my own and start my own company and build a company the way that I felt like it should flow from a cultural standpoint and development and training. I talked about a lot of things with like the passion and the craft. Being passionate about the craft. And that's something that I hold near and dear. So,
Boy, all of this sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Other people and have other people.
I'm
a
broken record.
Maybe time to just step out.
I have no new material
yourself, and that's kind of how Tech Factory got started.
Yeah. And I think we have a great video to share with the audience. We're just going to play a little bit of this video. We're going to give a few seconds for that to pop up. It is in animation. I think it's about 2 minutes. And here we go.
Are you ready for your next in-person or virtual event? Well, so are we. At Tech Factory, we have you covered from the mute button to animation. And our dedicated AV specialists are here to ensure your event is a success. Come closer. Take a look at some of our work.
Yeah, that's a blast from the past.
Yeah, we're gonna ask you about how things have changed from what we're seeing now 4 years later.
Yeah. I always loved that animation that Gabe did. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna cut it off now.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, so I just wanted to share part of that.
No, I appreciate that.
I'm going to be transparent and say, I knew you were coming on today, so I've been doing my research. I didn't just do it all today, but I have
Yeah,
been doing my research since we were able to confirm your attendance
yeah.
on the show today. And you know, I I I I, I was happy, and I was happy because you have demonstrated steadfastness and a push for excellence. And I want to ask you this question. Um, when we are, and and I have to preface this by some of the people who are not interested in even talking about houses of worship might not like this part that I'm getting ready to ask. But I know that when you do things for business, that you work, you are a perfectionist and you want it as perfect as it can be. But I want to ask you, those of us who are working in AV for houses of worship, do we have an opportunity for making a bad first impression? Can we recover from that? And I just really wanted
Oh,
your
yeah.
opinion on that. And I have my feelings on it, but I
Oh,
want
yeah.
your feelings.
That's a great question. It depends on the lens of the person that is getting that, receiving their first impression, right? Um, so it depends. For me, yes, because I am a second, third, fourth chance type. I'm an optimist, right? I see the best in people first. Now, when you burn me, a couple of times, oh, I will still shake your hand, smile, be friendly, but it's over, right? So to answer your question, I think I think yes, but if you're not nice, I would say no. So, so if you're just making mistakes, or let's say the sound's not right, or let's say it's the service is too long, or something like that, right? But if you have greeters at the door that won't smile and shake a hand and those types of things, that's it's going to be hard to recover from things like that. That's probably not your ministry. You need to be somewhere counting some. You need to be counting money or something like that, right? You don't need to be greeting people at the door. So that's my answer.
Okay. Do we need virtual greeters in the virtual
Also, from the
experience?
virtual standpoint, you know what? Maybe, yeah, maybe. So, I have clients doing things like, of course, we met from office hours, right? So we're
Mm-hmm.
always thinking about the virtual audience because, that's the space where you learn, where I did during COVID, the rules of engagement, so to speak. But I have clients now thinking about, okay, we're doing this hybrid thing. People are paying, good money to see this. You have 5,000 attendees in person, but you have 1,000 virtually, and they're paying for it. Give them an experience. Have the talent come off stage, whether it's the president of the organization, the second in command, and do it like they do at RNC or DNC, and you have the audience in the background, and you're asking questions, and you're engaging your virtual audience, right? You may not even have any back and forth questions, or maybe it's just one way. You're coming off the stage and you're doing some engagement, then giving that virtual audience something besides feel like they're watching, just being a second class citizen, so to speak. So you definitely want to have something that distinguishes and caters to the virtual audience.
That's fantastic. I appreciate you of being honest about that because that's one of the things that I wrestle with in terms of the importance of, particularly in houses. I think with anything, I think about, when I was in the classroom and how important it was for me to be at school early and I stayed late. And I feel like that we ought to be mindful of that same kind of dedication when it comes to um, the work that we do in the houses of worship, whether it's technology related or any otherwise related, and we were kind of going to wait until the end part of our conversation to talk about faith, but I think this might be a good jumping off point to talk about your faith journey and the things that you have done and the training that you have received and possibly how that training has impacted your business.
Absolutely. But before I do that, let me circle back to the to engagement real quick. One thing that doesn't cost a lot, but people need to really think about when we're in houses of worship and we're doing IMAG, where we have a 2 camera, 3 camera, 4 or 5 camera shoot or whatnot. You really want to think about that virtual audience and having a different switch feed that incorporates shots of the audience. You don't want that to go on the screen. You don't want that on your projection screen. It's not necessary. Those people are there. They can see their neighbor beside them. But if you had a couple of cameras that you can cut away from the preacher during key or away from praise and worship during key moments of the service, that immediately puts the person that is watching virtually feeling like they're amongst the people that are in the room. Right. So that's something to think about, in every church. This is a quick soapbox, jump on and jump right back off. Every church doesn't need image magnification. Every church doesn't need the preacher projected onto the screen. If your screens are 10 foot or 8 foot in size and the preacher is magnified, if the screen is smaller than the preacher standing in front of you, he doesn't need to be on the projection screen. And I see that oftentimes in churches, they want to mimic what they see in these mega churches, and it's unnecessary. Just record it, and you have it recorded, and it can be played back. It can, just maybe it's just for the virtual audience. The cameras are right. So every church doesn't need image magnification, IMAG, the representation of the preacher at the pulpit on this projection screens or TVs or whatnot, especially if the preacher is bigger than the screens. I'm kind of being a little humorous there, but you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think it's important. One of my pet peeves is that it's important to be engaging with the virtual experience, and there are not a lot of people that are doing that. They're not really in the YouTube or Facebook comments. A church that I'm affiliated with does have, if someone asks for prayer, someone will respond, and we even have asked, people have asked for financial help in the chat, and there is a person that responds. But I really think that is a shortcoming of churches that are doing hybrid, where they are not fully engaging in the chat or the conversation stream for those that are virtual. It is very easy, to make the people feel as if they are second class citizens because
Sure.
they are not in person, they're virtual.
Yes, sir.
And so, I think that's really something. I think everybody needs to take a look at that. Any house of worship should take a look at that and just see how engaging they are for those people who are virtual.
Absolutely.
So, we're gonna go back to that faith
Yes, sir.
question,
Yes, sir.
and so just tell us about your faith journey, the things that have impacted you as far as your faith is concerned.
Yeah, so church ministry has been a huge impact on me as a professional in my life. The earliest people I looked up to were people in church outside of my family, right? Whether it was the pastor, the minister of music. I can remember the late great minister Mark Joyner of Christian Faith Center in Creedmoor, North Carolina, was someone that I really looked up to because he was passionate about his craft, right? He was the minister of music, pianist. He would score, all the pieces for saxophone, trumpet, drums, like literally write it out, and for ministry on Sundays, and super passionate, and it was infectious to me, and so that was key. And then moving through in college and young adult life, just really paying attention to the leadership When there's good leadership in front of you, and it's, not always, of course, every leader that I've watched in church hasn't been a good leader, but when there's good leadership, you learn from the good and the bad. So I pay attention. I'm always watching, looking what can I glean from this person, right? You spend time around these people on midweek services and Sundays, and you're trying to, a lot of times I, was serving in my adult life, but I'm also trying to learn and glean and understand people and leadership, just as I'm doing in corporate America. So it gave me an opportunity to see that in who I wanted to be as a leader, and how I wanted to apply, what I believe Christians should be in the marketplace in business, and so very much shaped me. So I make plenty of mistakes, just like anybody else, but I'm always trying to be a better version of myself every day, and I'm very serious about that. So yeah, it will continue to shape me until the day that I die.
Absolutely. And just talk a little bit about your training and how the work situation gave an opportunity for you to go into the training ministry education.
Yeah. So again, once I got into it, like, of course, I'm trying to learn as much as possible, and I'll ask questions. I learned at a young age how to ask questions. Learn from my father. Um, if you don't know how to do something, ask somebody, right? And like I tell my guys that I train, because there's, in the tech field, in any tech field, you have people that want to share what you have, people that don't want to share with you. I'm going to talk to any and everybody. And even if I have to talk to the jerk, I want to get as much information out of the jerk that I can get out of them. But I also want to have something to give as well. So some of the most difficult people that I work with in corporate or in the marketplace, I end up becoming fast friends with them because I'll ask them questions. I will cater to their intellect, right? Not insincerely, but I'll cater to their intellect, and then after a while, I'll unpack and show them that I do have a modicum of intellect as well, and then that opens the door more for more sharing, and I'm always trying to be a sponge and take in as much as possible, and trying to in doing that, I'm also trying to close the gap of what people think about what people can do and what people can learn, whether it's based on skin color, gender, or whatever, right? So I'm trying to share it as fast as possible. It's like, hey, man, I learned this. And you just started an audio a couple of years ago, but I can teach you these things and you can go make $1. You've been volunteering in the church for 2 years. You've been consistent. You've been humble. But if you read this book, study these resources, come back and ask me questions, I can guarantee you that you can make a living doing this. And done this about 20 times. Well, probably about 15 times in one church alone, 15 full time, right? And now probably another 10 outside of church, and even some clients have referred people to me that are graduating from college. We've got a great steal from a young man that does all of my social media stuff. He's phenomenal. And a client recommended him. He was about to graduate, didn't know where he was going to work. He met with me 6 months later. He's with us full time and doing all of our social media work. But I like to break down those misconceptions and those barriers that if you're willing to put in the effort, you can close the gap very quickly on people that are to people that are making a living doing this. And then if you have that along with kindness, along with humility, you will surpass many of those people. And I've seen it happen. There's a young man. I'll name him Quentin Whitby. He came into the business about 5 years ago from my church. He's one of the best general audiovisual technicians in the area, and he was a drummer. And I just had a conversation with him. It's like, hey, we talked. He was moving from one job to another, and I remembered the conversation. I was like, okay, I've known him 12 years. I think he would be great. He has great customer service. He's a great servant, right? Served the ministry with to the nth degree. It's like, man, his humility, and he's a craftsman. He's a phenomenal drummer. So he takes his skills seriously. And within a year or two, Quentin is one of the top names in the area, and companies are fighting to, make sure that he's on their schedule. But he's quickly surpassed a lot of techs in the area because of the character that he has to go along with working on his skill and working on his craft and asking questions and wanting to make sure that he's doing it the right way. So,
So I'm going to interrupt you.
Yeah,
I'm going to
go ahead.
interrupt you.
Yeah.
And what I want to say is, team, I want you to put the camera on me right now when I say this. Young people, if you are a part of a church that has a media ministry, volunteer and learn some skills.
Absolutely.
Whether you choose to use it in AV going forward or not, it's an experience because you have an internal and external customer, even if you're working in the church.
Absolutely.
So that is something that you ought to think about. You don't have to sign your life away, but volunteer. Most churches don't meet more than 3 or 4 times a week. Give 2 days a week to the church. Volunteer, learn some skills. And Ricardo, can you just give us like a basic range of what people can make with some knowledge in the AV industry?
Yeah, I can absolutely do that. Now, I live in North Carolina, right? And I would say there's nobody that I've brought into the business out of 25 people that within 2 years didn't make at least $50,000. And I know people that make 6 figures that I brought into the business, right? But it's up to you. It's how much you put in. It's the reputation that you build. I know people with poor reputation that are still making $50,000-$60,000 because it's such a need, right? But going to what you're saying, like, volunteer, you learn a lot about yourself. You're building character. Honestly, if you can work in a church, any church, and work diligently and serve, you can go and work anywhere. You really can, because really it's about people. It's about interacting with people. It's several different personalities, just like you would experience in the corporate marketplace. It's not much. It's not much difference there. Well, there's some differences. You may have some differences where I feel like some churches you can find people jockeying for position and titles and things, and maybe getting fulfillment that they don't have in their 9-to-5 work life. They're taking advantage of that and trying to get that fulfillment on Sunday and Thursdays and Wednesdays, right? But if you can work under those types of circumstances, you can learn a lot about yourself, and you can learn a lot about people, and take those skills and transfer them over into the marketplace. So whether you stay in AV or not, right? These are transferable skills. Customer service is a transferable skill, and you can learn that service and being kind, being a servant in church.
And we have some questions from the community. I don't see the questions yet. Okay, we have a question from the Creative Liberty. As a business owner and a man of faith, how do you lead during these turbulent times? What advice could you give to someone just starting or feeling like they want to give up?
Oh man, that's a good one. I kind of talked about this with a friend, mentee of mine today. You you have to start. If my dad told me to, whatever you do in life, find something, a career that you would do for free. I know I probably said this 4 years ago because it just rings in my head. I don't do AV for free, but I would do it for free because I enjoy doing it. Right. Basically, he was saying, like, find something you're passionate about. If you're not passionate about it, but your intent is just to get by, just to make money, you're going to be unfulfilled. You may need just a job, but if you're passionate about it and you're a visionary, you're a risk taker, things like that, you have to have some type of mission and vision, right? Know what you want to do and why you want to do it, and doing it for the right reasons. And I say for me as the visionary I am, and the way what my mission is, I have to make sure anything that I'm ever doing is going to benefit somebody else besides me. And I don't think that has to be the case for everyone. But because I'm super passionate, I'm super charismatic. I need to make sure that I am, what I'm doing, has that type of balance for me. So, um, I would say if you're passionate about it, you may want to make sure that you're always revisiting why you're doing this thing. You know, why are you doing it? What do you want to get out of it? Where do you see yourself in 3 years? And continue to go back to mission and vision. It sounds cliche, but I promise you, we're in a place. I wish I could put everything together. I've had times where, man, the business was growing so fast. It's still growing, but I've had times where it was 5x. Like, I'm in a 5x year. I'm in a 3x year, still growing. And I've had times where it's like, man, I wish I had the 3x and 5x growth with the team that I have now, with
Wow.
with a culture
Yeah.
that is almost perfect. I would say I almost have a perfect work culture. It's close to perfect, and it took me 7 years to get there, right? But it's like, man, why? And the answer is never going to. You're never going to have it all at the exact same time. Well, I
Yeah.
won't say never, but you're not gonna, in the beginning, you're not gonna have it all at the same time. You may have the clientele, the growth, the money, the time where you're learning, and I wish it could all have happened at the same time. But what kept me together is my mission and vision and standing on it. So as I have a collection of Amex cards of people, and I look at that stack and people that, and it's some great people that move on to other places, right? But it's some people that didn't fit the way that we thought they were going to fit. And they had to go. And our culture and the way that my mission and vision is designed, it will weed people out on its own.
Mm.
Because as you see, you play a clip from 4 years ago. I don't talk any different now than I talked then. 15 years before, I still didn't talk any different. And if that mission and vision and that leadership is strong, and that foundation is strong, when you bump up against that, something is going to have to give. People are going to have to fall away. The wrong clients are going to have to fall away, and you're going to have to be able to have something to stand on and say, okay, this is why I'm doing this, and this is where I'm trying to take it. And yeah, I don't want to be too long-winded, but I can say a whole lot more about that. But I'll stop right there.
We want to thank Liberty for that. Thank you for
That's a
Ricardo.
great
Thank you
question.
for your response, and we want to thank Liberty for her. She was blowing. I want to tell you, she was blowing you up on LinkedIn and Facebook about
Oh,
this is going to be an exciting conversation tonight.
I'm
So
so glad to
we
be here. Yes, thank
yeah.
you,
So we
thank you,
we
Liberty. We
want to
had a
thank
conversation a
Liberty.
few years ago. I'd love to circle back around. We got to connect.
Yeah. Our next question is, it's a comment. Mr. and team, can CM Clark. Oh, that's Dr. Clark. That's Dr. Clark. Dr. Clark is asking you, consider beautiful images of nature and the Holy Lands as B roll. Congregants in person at a distance can be comforted and included while listening to cerebral preachers and looking at beauty. Yes, Dr. Clark. Thank you, Dr. Clark, for your comment.
Absolutely.
Dr. Clark, he is an advocate for a conversation with Tony Mobley. He's one of
Awesome.
the people that encouraged us to move forward with conversation.
Awesome. I love it.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Dr. Clark. Um, I want to go back just for a quick minute and talk about some of the things that you shared in terms of the team and that you've built and the integrity that you have and all of that. Um, and I really want to say to those people who are a part of House of Worship, he is for us demonstrating, and I'm not trying to make out that you're a saint, but what I'm saying
By no
is
means.
that he is telling us that it's important to be that light that can impact others and to be that salt of the earth that makes a difference in people's lives. And the last thing I want to say about that is also think about this at the base salary of $50,000 in this time that we're living in right now, at a base salary of 50,000. If you're in high school, you might want to take a look at that, see if you can, connect with a church and maybe do some volunteering.
And that's without a degree, no associates, no
Yeah,
bachelors, and you can get your bachelor's and associates while you're doing it. I've had people
absolutely.
in college. I've had people in college making $30,000 a year while they're taking full college courses in person, just as supplemental income as a freelancer, AV freelancer. Um, I've seen it done a couple of times.
So we're running out of time. We have less than 10 minutes. So I just want to ask you, can you talk a little bit about how things have changed from 4 years ago to now in terms of I know you talked about you got the team now that you wanted, that you
Yeah,
needed, that you
yeah.
should have. But what other things? And we didn't talk about there's a music thing that you're doing.
Yeah, yeah,
We,
yeah.
yeah, we didn't talk about. Let's talk about that music thing first.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can gel it together. But so 20 years ago, a degree is in music technology. I thought the recording studio was where I was going to make my career and living, and then music production. Right. Not a phenomenal keyboardist. I can write some songs and melodies. I'm not a lyricist, but I can make tracks. I can compose tracks, and I can record and mix and a little bit of mastering. I set that stuff down 20 years ago, and to pursue corporate AV, and marry and start a family. It's been good to me, and this year I decided that I was circling back around to my first love, which is audio recording and adding it to the arsenal. The reason, again, circling back to that mission and vision piece, one of the key reasons is because I see it as a great training tool. I believe that's what made me an awesome engineer and technician, is starting in the recording studio and that study time and understanding signal flow. I have some segments on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok that are called Suits and Signal Flow. And this was just me. It's like, okay, if I'm going to do social media marketing, I have to do what fits my mission and vision. Again, I like to wear suits. I like to dress up. People know that about me, and I love the tech piece. And I don't think a lot of my clients understood me as a technician. They understood me as a salesperson, and
Mm.
that he does some training, but how much does he know tech? So I said, let me show my clients what I do from a technical standpoint, from a training aspect, and turn the camera on and let them see it. So now I have my team, young and old. I have 21-year-old. They'll come and ask me an audio question on job site, and we'll pull out the DJ. He said, I have the DJI camera, and I have a question for you. So these questions organically have been happening for years, right? But now we're capturing those moments in real time. We're using the AI glasses, and we're saying, "Oh, before I answer that question, let me turn the camera on," right? And then I'm doing, like I said, suits and signal flow, and we have a segment that we're doing called the craft room, and this is taking it full circle back to my recording days, to friends that are masterful musicians, Thurman Woods, Brian Miller, Trey Rayford, Quentin Whitby. Some of these guys work for me and have worked for me, and they're phenomenal bass players, keyboard players. And said, let's do some original pieces. Let's come in to our warehouse and multi-track record, multi-camera record, and this gives my techs an opportunity to see a different facet of AV. Right, I'm
Mm.
not full time in the church anymore doing audio visual. Right, so let's multi-track. Let's have the comms. Let's get the B-roll. Let's mix it down, like it's going to be mixed for a record. And the intention there is you'll see interviews where I'm actually interviewing the musicians about craft, mastering their craft, right? So not only are we doing original songs that these people have written, some will be pieces that I've written in the future as well. And we're actually getting them to talk about how to start perfecting their craft as a musician. And then along the way, we're also talking about the technical side, because a lot of times we get to see the singing and the dancing and the performing, but the texts are behind the scenes. So I want to highlight the text as well and let them see the camaraderie that's happening, the communication that's happening with the musicians. So we're recording all of that as well and packaging it. And I think a year from now, we should have enough for a full album.
Wow.
That I'm maybe I'm flirting with releasing. So I'm going back to my first love. I'm buying high-end Neve and SSL preamps and things like that that I've been wanting. Building back up a Pro Tools system. My desk at home, which I'm at right now, has Pro Tools rig and production rig in front of me, pads and the keyboards and stuff, as well as my work office. I've duplicated the software and equipment there. So I go from working to, I have the downtime now because I've curated the team 20 years and been in business 7 years, right? Of curating the team. I gave up the music production. Now I'm visiting it back again. I have the time for the social media to show the training and education and things I've been doing. I'm taking this time for me to revisit this and go back to the first love, but also using it as a training opportunity as well. It always has to be tied back to mission and vision for me. And it's tied, and it's also going to give me that peace and that rest, a little bit of rest and play while I'm at work. So I'll go from a call like this to picking up my bass guitar, plucking around with it and writing a melody and some pads and sending it over to a friend and say, hey, can you add some keyboard to this?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's a lot, but yeah.
We already gonna need to go ahead and schedule conversations with Tony.
Yeah, we'll need to do it again.
We need to go ahead and do that because that part by itself requires a conversation.
Absolutely.
But we got another question from Dr. Clark. He says, would it be right to call your leadership a form of mentorship? I already know the answer to that. If you say so, say a bit more about your approach to mentorship.
I just like to be a good example all around. Like, for example, me and my wife work together. We have great, healthy banter at work, and we don't always agree. But I like to show them what that looks like and why, it's like, man, you can work with your wife and go home. And, of course we need some time to ourselves, of course. Right. But, just showing that again, if you're starting with that mission vision and you're aligned on what you're trying to accomplish and doing it at a high level, it should be no problem being able to work together in the marketplace, especially as believers, right? So they get to see that every day. Anybody that's worked with us can tell you that there's, that's the way we worked, and we worked like that for 4 years. But again, being vulnerable as well. Like I let them know that I know their strengths and their weaknesses, and I let them know some of my weaknesses as well. I don't tell them every weakness I have, but being vulnerable and being honest about some of the weaknesses that you have, so that we can have fair conversations amongst everybody. I have a young man, Sam. He's phenomenal. He's an introvert, but I always challenge him to make sure he's having the right right conversations with the client, even though it may be difficult for him to have. So I make those conversations as a mentor. Let's make your conversations technical. So you can say, okay, we did this, we did that, we did that, so at least you're talking to the client, and it warms them up to the idea of actually communicating, because he can talk about the dotting of the I's and the crossing of the T's, and has made him a better communicator. So these are the ways that I look. I look at strengths and weakness, and we always work on our weaknesses at Tech Factory, and we're not we don't hide from our weaknesses.
Wow. We're we're out of time.
I
We're out of
appreciate
time.
the time.
I can't even ask my usual last question of, you're speaking to the world. What do you want the world to know? We're out, completely out of time, and so
We'll come back.
I can ask. I
Okay,
can ask. You're
okay.
speaking to the world. What do you want the world to know?
I want the world to know that you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. Give everybody a fair shake. Don't make assumptions about a person when you meet them. Have a conversation like Tony is having right now. Unpack. What are you about? What do you do? In business, one of some of the most frustrating moments is when people assume what you can do and what you can't do. Oh, you do large events? You do small events, right? Do you do local events? And it's so, and I never like to defend myself, but it's like I have to quickly answer the question. No, we truck equipment all over. We can do, what size event do you have? Do I need to give you some examples? I can show you some pictures. Or have the conversations instead of cutting it off at the knees to say, oh, you can't do this. You just started a business 7 years ago or 8 years ago. I have a warehouse full of equipment. I have a full-time staff. And it's a weight to lift to pay them every 2 weeks, right? So,
Right.
don't make assumptions just because someone is new to the business, just because someone's male, female, the shade of their skin. Have good, healthy conversations and good dialogue with people, and have build meaningful relationships on a daily basis.
Wow. Thank you, Ricardo Hicks.
Thank you for having me.
Conversation with Tony Mobley is produced by Clarlock Lopez Waterman. Our current team includes Laura Thompson, Zachary Sorensen, Mickey McAture. We want to say thank you, sir. Thank you, team. Thank you, Mimo Live and Zoom, for making this broadcast possible. We have conversations with real people. Stay tuned for new episodes and great conversations on Conversation with Tony Mobley. We want to thank you to the nearly 200 plus episodes of Conversations with Tony Mobley. And I'm going to say this. Go back to my conversation with Ricardo 4 years ago and watch our conversation today. When you have time, please go back and look at the nearly 200 conversations with Tony Mobley. And we think you will find something that you like and is hopefully helpful to you. Thank you, Ricardo Hicks. Thank you for being part of our conversation today and for doing the work you do and for being the person who you are. Next week, education and AI. That's right. It's going to be a panel. You don't want to miss this. Education and AI. Please feel free to support Conversation with Tony Mobley by volunteering or donating to keep Conversation with Tony Mobley running. You can also donate your time as well as your donation to Conversations with Tony Mobley. We want you on YouTube to please like and subscribe and comment. We want to keep getting better. That's what Ricardo shared with us tonight. You want to keep getting better, not being satisfied. We want to say, take care. God bless you. See you soon. Good night.